I'm Luis Crouch from the Education for All Fast Track Initiative. We are, as many of you know, changing our name soon to the Global Partnership for Education, which I think more effectively reflects what we've been doing. I'll talk a little bit more about ourselves later on. In this session, my role is simply to moderate and introduce our distinguished speakers. I would like to, before I introduce them, talk a little bit about the composition of the panel. It's a somewhat engineered panel in the sense that we've got countries that in some respect are further along the track of doing something large-scale, national scale on literacy, such as Nicaragua, which started a little bit earlier than Liberia, but Liberia as well, which has serious randomized trials and is going to scale. And we have other countries that are sort of beginning down that path to some degree, doing national assessments, drawing baselines, designing programs. And so we wanted to create an opportunity for exchange of impressions, both amongst them in informal situations, but also with you, so that the audience gets a sense of the spectrum that we're working with. So let me introduce the speakers, and I will introduce them in the order in which they will be speaking. And so we will have Atou Fouad Ibrahim, the Minister of State for Education, General Education in Ethiopia. We will then move on to Abel Beassis from Mozambique, who is the National Director for Quality Assurance in the ministry. Matlor Pangbai, who is the Deputy Minister of Instruction for the Ministry of Education in Liberia, and then Guillermo Lopez, who is the Director General of Primary Education in Nicaragua. Let me just say a word or two about each presenter, just so that you get to know them a bit. Minister Ibrahim is as I said, the State Minister. He has served for many years in the Harare region in his country. Ethiopia is a decentralized country, and he has experience at the decentralized level. He has, like most of the panelists, experience as an instructor in a teacher training college in this case. He earned his bachelor's degree at the Badhidha Academy of Pedagogy, and a master's degree from a Finnish university. The next speaker will be Abel Assis, and his background is that he has been he is currently head of the Quality Assurance program at the ministry, but previously he has worked in the National Learning Assessment Institute of Mozambique with experience in curriculum design, assessment, and examination and certification. Minister Pangbai is currently the Deputy Minister for Instruction in the country of Liberia. It's the third highest post in the ministry. He is a dynamic and tireless fellow. He has the distinction relative to other members of the panel that he has been an educator in the United States as well, being a teacher and I believe ending up as principal high school principal. He has many distinctions and honors from various bodies in the United States and abroad. He has a Bachelor's of Science degree from Cuttington University in his own country, and a Master's in Business Administration from, I believe, the United States, a United States university. And finally, Guillermo Lopez is currently the Director General of Primary Education in his own ministry in Nicaragua. He has a master's degree in teacher training from the National University of Nicaragua, and a bachelor's degree in education science. And he perhaps was the longest serving teacher. He has a 30-year teaching career, so we're quite honored to have someone who has been for so long at the coalface, if you will, of teaching. He also plays a role in various teacher unions and worker organizations in Nicaragua. So without further ado, I would like to turn the session over to Minister Ibrahim.
Good morning. Dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express my gratitude for the organizers to have me here and get an opportunity to explain about my country's education, achievements, challenges, and so on. So, since I've got only 10 minutes, I'll try my best to be very brief about my presentation. My presentation follows some achievements in the education of Ethiopia, early grade reading assessment results, because we have that, the current challenges of Ethiopian system, and the plan for addressing the challenges in cooperation with USAID. In Ethiopia, modern education is about 100 years old. Since 1991, only for girls, 16% of them are going to school. When this government took power 18 years ago. So totally 20% of the children were going to school. Most of the children who were going to school were from the urban area. Few nationalities, because Ethiopia has got 18 nationalities. So Ethiopia has got 18 nationalities, only few of them nationalities were going to schools. The urban dwellers were more advantageous, because rural, urban, the difference was so huge. Gender issue was another problem. So among nationalities also there was a difference very much. The pastoralists and urban dwellers, as I said. So when this government came to power, what it did was it established a large team which was composed of different, social strata with merits and also representation. Also the government, non-government, abroad, in the country, whatever. Just following, the transitional charter, which was led, the country for 2-3 years. So these groups, teams of groups, identified 4 major problems of education. The first one was access, as I said. The second one was relevance and quality of education. The third was equity issue. The fourth one was inefficiency. So, as I said, many children, before they finish primary education, they leave the school. Dropout was very high. Repetition was very high. As I said, also, the education system totally followed. When our kings had a very good relation with French, everything came from France. When we had a very good relationship with England, everything came from England. And when we had also relationship with USA, later on, again the same happened. And now, of course, what we did was, we have textbooks, whatever, based on our contexts. This means that we do not want the support, but together with our partners, we identify problems, we plan together, and we implement together, and also we evaluate together and give feedbacks and improve for the next steps. This is how we are now working. So this is the difference also. So the other very important issue was, when we come to problem, our teachers were ill-prepared, I could say. Because, as I said again, the textbooks, everything was coming from different countries when we had different relationships with different countries based on our leadership. So even the teachers' preparation was not also contextualized there. So they don't know what they are going to face when they go to the schools. In Ethiopia, as I said, we have got 80 nationalities with 80 languages, cultures, and everything. But we were forced to learn in only one of the language in the country. So set with other things were a problem. When you come to the achievements, then, as you know, this government has taken a variety of measures. The first one is, it was in 1997, I think, we had a sector development plan, education sector development plan, which was followed by a 20 years, directive plan. This 20 years directive plan was also followed, the education, training, and policy. Because we developed, after we identified those 4 problems, as I said, we developed the education and training policy in the country. It's a 15-page document, but each and every word in that document has got a very, very huge definition. So it will explain a lot of things. Every word in that document explains. So based on that, education, training, and policy, which as the first objective says, we will pursue an education which will support the economic development of the country and vice versa, where the economy also supports the education space. Now everybody in the country has started to observe and sense this in our statement. Because Ethiopia has enjoyed the last 5 minutes. So sorry, I have to run to the last part. Is what we have been doing with USA, because we have got on 3 minutes. So within those periods, we have brought 20 million students into the country now. In each school, in our schools, we have 28,000 primary schools and 20 million, more than 20 million students in that country. So quality suffered. Quality suffered. It is good to bring children to the school, but we need to provide them quality education, better education. So last year we conducted a study, EGRA study, with 8 languages, 6 languages in 8 regions, but the result is shocking. So everybody was thinking we were doing fine, but it was not. So now we have developed a plan with USA. The curriculum, entire curriculum will be now changed. The syllabus, MLC, and everything, the curriculum, basic material. Then we are going to develop the textbooks. And then, based on these textbooks, we are going to train our teachers. Again, we will check, we will conduct another exam, and we will see against those MLCs we develop. And finally, through these processes, we'll see. And on October, we will have an English EGRA and also EGMA maths test. We have National Learning Assessment Center, and they will conduct it. And for grade 4, 8, 10, and 12, we do, by every 2 years, we do national assessments. So through this process, we are going to find out. But the principle we follow is that. The principle we follow is that education is the instrument to maintain development, and development of great human resource development. So we will, through better education, quality education, that we can maintain this. Thank you so very much.
The next presenter is Mr. Assis from Mozambique. Would you prefer to manage your own slides? Yes. This is the forward.
Good morning, everyone. I want to salute you all for this, the International Leaders Day that we commemorate today, and to thank the organizer of this event. And my official language is Portuguese, but I will try to do my best to present in English. My presentation will have three main parts, which is the context, the progress, and some challenges. In Mozambique context, we believe that education is a key to combating poverty and increase economic development. And the priority is the basic education, which comprises 7 years of primary education. Here we bring some progress, starting increased from 1992 when the end of the war. So we can see the expansion at primary education in general in all the system. And we have also increased the equity and quality, special in gender in primary and secondary education. And although we have a high pupil-teacher ratio. We also have as a problem the dropout is still high, particularly in the grade 5 and 7. Related to the quality issue, we are trying to implement different programs to measure the quality of education. So there are some actions at the national level. We have different institutions from the government, Indian, and also from the civil society who are taking some measure to measure the learning of the children. So we can give here some examples. And we also participate in the regional initiative which is called SACMEC, which comprises 14 countries in the Southern Africa region of 15 ministers of education in grade 6 in languages, maths, and the third one is also HAV. Here we bring one of the studies taken this year. The purpose is to make a baseline in the north of the Mozambique, Cabo Delgado, and there's some question of this study. They were selected some indicators, and the major findings, we can see that is we spend little time on task, and there are different factors. The school year starts later, some lessons starting also later, absenteeism for the teachers and students due to different reasons, attending official visits and public events are of some of the factors that contribute to the problems that we have in the schools. Also, the time spent in the classroom is ineffective in terms that the students are not on task. From the SACMEC, we participated in 2007 in the assessment, and we have the results from the reading. So the scale comprises 8 levels, from the lower to higher level of skills. So we can see here in general and per province that our students have some difficulties at higher levels skills in reading. Also in maths, we have some problems that are different from provinces. In summary, we can say that Mozambique is still a long way to meeting the Millennium Development Goals. For us, our challenge is access, retention, and conclusion of the 7 years of education with the relevant competencies. To deal with these problems, we were focusing on the read and write in the first grades, and that's why we're trying to improve some areas. One of the areas is school assessment based what we call Proving. It's just diagnostic tests to make the teacher aware of what are the students learning. The second one, we will use the national assessment in reading and maths. The third one will continue to use the SACMEC assessment, and to deal with the quality issue, we also focus on measuring outcomes, which implies to define norms and standards, to train people to use the instruments, to train the head teachers, and to identify the progress in our education system. So those are the challenges that we have to deal with the quality of education in Mozambique. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And I hope you're all taking notes, because we're being exposed to some very, in my view, brilliant insights and suggestions on which you may have questions later. But thank you so much to the presenters so far, and over to you, Mator.
Thank you, Louis. I want to extend to EFA, FIT, and AID, and other partners for organizing the International Literacy Day. Quickly about Liberia, my friend had a computer, so I will move and number the slides. So firstly, we have a literacy rate of 58%. That measures our life expectancy. English is spoken as our official language. And we have 16 major languages. Liberia went through a brutal civil war, so interestingly, at our primary level, we have about 3.4% of our students completed grade 6. We have 52% of our teachers currently are certified and are considered qualified. And we use English as our official instructional language. After the war, we have over 500,000 overage student population. So the first thing we did as a government was to look for programs in which we could accelerate learning. So we have an accelerated learning program that has 3 levels. And level 1 and level 2 will prepare students for grade 1 and grade 2. Level 2 and 4, level 2 will prepare students for 3 and 4, and level 3 will prepare students for grade 5 and 6. We had opportunity to have a sister program, which is referred to as the Core Skills education stuff for Liberian youth, which is going to be evolving into advanced youth programs. One thing we have done is that we have recently made reading as a separate component in our curriculum for grades 1 through 8. On qualified teachers, we got support from AIE, so we work on rehabilitating our Rural Teacher Training Institute, work with international NGO to train teachers. We have issues also at the secondary level. Government has made our university free for educational students, and we have recently passed an improved salary incentive for teachers. This presentation will be guided by 5 questions, and I will go to slide number 7. Okay. When did we become aware of this issue as it relates to early literacy skill?
I'm going to take over the...
Please.
Because I can see your page, but you cannot.
Sorry.
That's right.
Page 8.
Yep. Check. 8.
No. It's a pilot assessment. Yes. In 2008, we ran a pilot assessment with support from the World Bank. And primarily, we're looking at 2 grades, grades 2 and grade 3. As you will see, we had 34% of the students couldn't read 1 word, and we have the average number of words read was 19.6. So what do we do with the dismal reading performance of our students? Internationally, it's required to have a goal of 45 words being read per minute, but our goal in Liberia is to go to 60. So with the pilot done, there were 5 core questions that had to be answered. So on page 10. The reading intervention were done with the ministry, Liberian educators, and we're looking at baseline over-reading assessment data. Our approach was experimental, and we're looking at going into schools, and we're using a coaching component, and will require May and final term assessment. With the intervention, we had 60 schools in 7 counties and in 15 school districts. In Liberia, we have 15 counties and we have 100 school districts on page 12. So with the EDGAR Plus intervention, the lessons learned are based on a speech-to-print approach. But the more important thing is that children learn the signs of English and try to map the sign to letters in the initial instruction. As I indicated, it's evidence-based. We require a 45 minutes a day instruction. In addition, teachers are required to read every afternoon. There's a homework component that students read to parents, and parents sign and return to indicate that they are also part of the process. Today, we are scaling up our program to 670 schools in 4 counties with the hope of reaching the other 11 counties. Page 13. With our EDGAR Plus, coaching is a central component. So we have coaches in the different schools that help our teachers. We use social marketing, so parent community report card, and continued assessment is required. Page 15. The experiment that was done over a year and a half. We had letter naming fluency, over-reading, and reading comprehension. I want to draw the folks' attention to the effect size. If you look at the control and for intervention, there's no difference. We look at final mean after at 1.5 years. You see the effect size for letter meaning. We're talking about 0.52. For over fluency, we're talking about 0.80. And for reading comprehension, it's 0.82. Now these are significant gains. Quickly, letter meaning means that you have 100 random letters that kids can mean in rows. Over reading has to do with a passage, sister words, and they were all at the second and third level. And comprehension means that students must answer 5 questions on the passage read. So with that exercise and the number of students that participated in the experiment were 2,800 students. So you see the growth. After the growth over a year was letter meaning were 1.2 years, oral fluency were 1.8, and reading comprehension for 2 years. So there was significant gap closed. Students that couldn't read now were reading almost at grade level after 1.5 years. We are changing our name for Edgar Plus into Reading First. And this has been supported by AID, but it's also required for all of our teacher training institute. So all of our incoming teachers now into our schools must go through the Edgar Plus or the Reading First program to ensure that they are able to teach students when they leave the very institution, page 19. Our interim goal is 45 words, but that is also international benchmark. But for Liberia, our goal is to make sure that all of our students by grade 3, at the end of grade 3, they can all be able to read and write. We now have support for EFA, FDI, that will be doing national assessment in grade 4 to determine as well all students are indeed able to read at completion of grade 3. How do we sustain this? As I indicated earlier, we have made a requirement in terms of making sure our teacher preparation programs teach reading. We have part of a vertical realignment between our ECD and our primary education. And finally, if you can go to page 22. The important thing is that we are bridging language between pre-primary instruction into English, and we have local partnerships. Finally, page 24, the goal is to focus on reading. In reading, indeed, we are doing in Liberia. We are trying to find resources to have professional development at all levels. And critically important pieces that you need leadership in the area of Ministry of Education. Thank you.
And last but not least, because in a way it's the country that's sort of moved ahead the fastest or the furthest, Nicaragua. Guillermo is going to speak in Spanish, but the presentation will be in English, and I will help him. Guillermo, ¿puedo traducir cualquier cosa? Si veo que hay un desfase entre lo que dices y lo que dice la pantalla, pues voy a intervenir un poquito para ayudarte, pero he's going to speak in Spanish. The presentation will be in English. So welcome to a globalized world. And if you can't do it, get with the program.
Buenos días. Quiero agradecer en primer lugar la invitación que nos ha hecho la AID para participar en este evento de carácter internacional en saludo a un aniversario importantísimo para el mundo, ¿verdad? Que es la lucha contra el analfabetismo. En el marco del Plan Nacional de Desarrollo Humano que tiene nuestro país, que tiene el Gobierno de Reconciliación y Unidad Nacional, hay dos servicios que son fundamentales o que tienen la máxima prioridad dentro del programa. es salud y educación. En ese sentido, estamos desarrollando lo que se denomina una Estrategia Nacional de Educación, que tiene dos propósitos centrales: mejorar la equidad de la educación y la calidad de la educación. Tiene en el marco de la equidad el rescate del derecho a la educación como un derecho humano fundamental. La educación es factor fundamental de desarrollo, es pieza vital del desarrollo de los demás derechos del ser humano, y para nosotros es clave para atacar el tema de la pobreza. Es una variable fundamental para enfrentar el tema de la pobreza y el desarrollo de la conciencia del pueblo nicaragüense. En materia de calidad, estamos en un proceso de transformación curricular que estamos culminando, y en ese marco estamos desarrollando una serie de estrategias e iniciativas que propugnan por la calidad de la educación. Están los TEPSE, que son los talleres de evaluación, programación y capacitación educativa, que reúne a los maestros mensualmente para analizar el currículum que desarrollan y además para intercapacitarse.
Sorry, just a quick note, that's on the quality side, because it's acronyms. Those are teacher training programs where teachers are encouraged to analyze the curriculum rather than just sort of receive, so they think about the curriculum that they're imparting.
El CP, Círculo Pedagógico, es los maestros de más experiencia apoyando a los maestros de menos experiencia, y ese movimiento se desarrolla en cada escuela.
So master teachers, a master teacher program that reach out to others.
Y la red CAP es una red de capacitación, también conformada por maestros que tienen experiencia y que están entrenados para apoyar al resto de maestros. Estamos desarrollando también diplomados para los maestros, maestrías, el acompañamiento pedagógico que desarrollan los directores en el aula de clase. Estamos utilizando la promoción flexible dirigida a aquellos estudiantes que por distintas razones se mueven, migran, están un mes en la escuela, 2 meses fuera de la escuela. Es darle la oportunidad para que ninguno de ellos se quede sin educación. El tema de las escuelas amigas, que es una iniciativa que tiene UNICEF. Los puentes educativos, que son dirigidos fundamentalmente para zonas cafetaleras. Las comunidades lectoras, maratones de lectura, concursos de lectura en voz alta para niños de primer grado y concursos de ortografía. Y estamos desarrollando lo que a mí me parece como REP, el reforzamiento escolar permanente, desde que comienza el año escolar hasta que finaliza. Estamos apoyando a los muchachos que tienen problemas de rendimiento académico, y además estamos desarrollando el diagnóstico de la lectura inicial, y vamos a desarrollar el diagnóstico de la matemática inicial, que tengo entendido se experimentó en Mozambique, ¿verdad?
Just to summarize again the acronyms, on the EGRA-EGMA RFP basically refer to early assessments appropriate for early grades that they're either experimenting with or have already adopted more in reading, experimenting in math.
Bien, esta estrategia tiene 5 objetivos fundamentales. El primero es lograr acceso de todos los nicaragüenses desde los 3 hasta los 65 años a la educación. El segundo es reducción del analfabetismo. En agosto de 2009 teníamos el índice de analfabetismo en 3.33% y continuamos ese proceso de alfabetización. Y además la posalfabetización, ofreciendo primaria y secundaria para jóvenes y adultos. Estamos desarrollando, el otro objetivo de la batalla por el sexto grado, lograr que todos los nicaragüenses tengan como promedio los 6 grados de primaria, y en un proceso alcanzar también la batalla por el 9º grado, lograr que los nicaragüenses tengan los 9 grados de educación básica y media aprobados. Y el último objetivo es la integración del componente politécnico, desde el 5º grado de primaria hasta el 10º grado de la secundaria. Es introducir oficios y carreras técnicas básicas y medias. Entonces, la estrategia tiene como pilares fundamentales la familia y la comunidad. Por ello hemos organizado en cada escuela lo que denominamos las comisiones de la batalla por el sexto grado, y a nivel municipal los consejos locales de educación, dentro del marco del modelo de responsabilidad compartida que promueve el Gobierno de Reconciliación y Unidad Nacional.
Sorry, that may be a little hard to follow, so it's just on the slide. So he's talking about the bottom middle slide there, around issues of shared responsibility and accountability, school councils, and so on.
Esas comisiones locales y los consejos municipales están conformados por distintas instituciones, organizaciones de la sociedad civil, maestros, directores, que tienen que ver con el tema de la educación, pues, que contribuyen con el tema de la educación. 3 factores son fundamentales para nosotros dentro de esta estrategia. La matrícula, que es una batalla que desarrollamos año con año, inmediatamente la batalla por la permanencia escolar y la promoción escolar. Esos son los 3 elementos que promovemos de los indicadores educativos dentro del marco de la estrategia nacional. ¿Qué estamos haciendo para promover la lectoescritura? En primer lugar, estamos desarrollando una campaña permanente de alfabetización, que ya como decíamos tenemos en 2009 el 3.33% de índice de analfabetismo. Somos el 4º país en América Latina que logra el hito histórico de ser declarado territorio libre de analfabetismo por la UNESCO, y una campaña permanente de posalfabetización que en este momento tiene matriculados 100.000 adultos en los programas de primaria para jóvenes y adultos y secundaria para jóvenes y adultos. Estamos desarrollando, tal como decíamos, el diagnóstico de la lectura inicial. Vamos a desarrollar el año próximo el diagnóstico de la matemática inicial. Hay un intercambio permanente y formación de docentes de los primeros grados. Se están desarrollando las comunidades lectoras en cada municipio. Desarrollamos maratones de lectura, concursos de lectura en voz alta, esto es para niños de primer grado fundamentalmente, concursos de ortografía y concursos de lengua y literatura. ¿Qué hemos hecho para mejorar la lectoescritura? Aquí me voy a referir nada más a ella. En 2008 iniciamos un piloto con 6.649 estudiantes en 126 centros del país. En 2009 se aplicó también el diagnóstico de la lectura inicial en español y misquito a una muestra de 1.692 estudiantes de la costa caribe nicaragüense, y se validó EGRA en 2 lenguas autóctonas, misquito y panamasca. En 2010 se aplicó la lectura inicial a 51.441 estudiantes 7.000 de primer grado, 20.089 de segundo, 19.921 de tercero y 4.431 de cuarto grado en 10 departamentos y 78 municipios. Y en 2011 hemos aplicado entre mayo y junio la primera prueba EGRA al 25% de los centros de estudios del país y al 5% de los estudiantes de segundo, tercero y cuarto grado. Y en septiembre y octubre vamos a aplicar la segunda prueba EGRA al mismo porcentaje de escuelas y al mismo porcentaje de estudiantes. Referencia les puede dar Silvia, ¿verdad? De RTI, que tiene el informe de esa aplicación que se hizo en 2010 y que estoy esperando su comentario, ¿verdad? Retos. ¿Cuáles son nuestros retos actuales? Bibliotecas. Es vital, ¿verdad? Para crear ambientes lectores, crear medios donde los niños puedan ampliar sus horizontes en la lectoescritura. Es vital la biblioteca, no solamente el libro de texto, sino también que puedan contar con otros medios. Campañas en distintos medios de comunicación de la lectoescritura, promoción de la lectoescritura, ¿verdad? Y cada escuela que se convierta en una escuela promotora de la lectoescritura. Ya termino, ya voy a finalizar. Fortalecer la capacitación técnico-científica de la red de capacitación, cursos estructurados de lectoescritura para docentes, formación en lectoescritura para 8.000 docentes de primer y segundo grado, capacitación a la red de comunidades lectoras en 1.400 núcleos educativos, sistema computarizado de monitoreo y seguimiento de la lectoescritura y matemática inicial, y desarrollar investigaciones y monitoreos sobre la lectoescritura desde las escuelas normales que son las formadoras de maestros. Muchísimas gracias.
One statistic that I don't know if you caught is that Nicaragua has now a 97% literacy rate. Tienen una tasa de alfabetización del 97%. Sí. So in Nicaragua, the process obviously is how to do literacy better and faster, because in a way they're, in terms of basic percentages, they're almost there. Unfortunately, due to the time, I've just been told by the process managers that we will have time for only 1 or 2 questions. So, but of course there could be 15 answers, right? No, but seriously, let's take the 2 questions right one after the other, and then we'll give space for the panel to answer the questions. And hopefully, in any case, there will be time over tea at some point, coffee, to chat some more. So, a couple of questions, please, from the audience. I told you to have questions, so surely you heard me and came up with some.
Good morning. Thank you for your presentations. My name is Annie Duguay. I'm from the Center for Applied Linguistics, and I'm wondering about, maybe some of you touched upon it, but I'm wondering about first language use in your literacy programs.
Second question? Nobody else? One over there. She had her hand up first, so let's go to her first.
Hello, I'm Jenny Spratt from Research Triangle Institute. I would suspect that in many of these countries there is a dearth of reading materials for children. And I would like to hear a little bit more about what I noticed Nicaragua mentioned libraries, and maybe you said more, but I wouldn't know. What your countries may be doing to develop age-appropriate reading materials. And and perhaps private sector involvement in that work.
Okay, so you heard the two questions. Home language issues, how are you approaching that? And the issue of high quality and appropriate reading materials. Are we going to...
One more.
One more?
If they can weave it in. My name is Meg Gardenier. I'm a researcher at the Woodrow Wilson Center right now. My question is whether or not you've had the opportunity to hear from the teachers about how some of these policies are trickling down and what are some of the constraints and enabling factors that they face in the schools.
Okay, so if I could ask all panelists to contribute, fairly quickly to any of the three questions. You don't have to take all three, just take the ones that you feel are most pertinent. And why don't we do it in linear order from here to there?
Can I speak in Portuguese?
I can translate.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Em Moçambique, na questão da língua, nós temos a língua oficial de ensino é a língua portuguesa, mas pelo fato de se constatar que é um obstáculo no processo de aprendizagem que explica em parte o baixo desempenho dos alunos, Moçambique adotou o ensino bilíngue, começamos em 2004, na perspectiva de estendê-lo porque traz bons resultados. Mas o desafio, de novo, é preparar os professores para garantir o ensino-aprendizagem. Agora, para a questão dos professores, eu penso que a questão da qualidade do ensino é fundamental. Por isso mesmo é que Moçambique insiste numa avaliação centrada na escola, que permita aos professores, no dia a dia, avaliar aquilo que as crianças estão a aprender, para a partir daí identificar onde estão as dificuldades e o que fazer com essas dificuldades. Este que é o grande desafio, mas sem dúvida que o professor é parte fundamental, portanto, da melhoria da leitura. Obrigado.
Okay, just a quick translation is that yes, they are indeed paying attention to the home language issue. They have had several pilots and the results have been good, and they are, while not yet at the stage of going to national scale, they are beyond the pilot stage. So they're in a kind of intermediate between pilot and full scale. They agree fully with the importance. In fact, their analyses show that that's one of the reasons for early failure is the lack of home language instruction. The challenges remain to prepare the teachers and also to adjust the assessment tools for a variety of languages and to improve the use of assessment in non-Portuguese languages. I think I got that right. You can, I think you borrowed that one. Yeah.
Okay, just to reflect, the first language used in Ethiopia as a medium of instruction is about 24. Okay, in Ethiopia, as you know, we have a very clear language policy in our education training and policy. It's very much education and training policy. It's very much stated that primary school has to be used as a medium of instruction as a mother tongue. But in most cases, grade 1 to 4 for 3 regions, Ethiopia is also a federal state, and each state is independent. It has got its own constitution. So education is a responsibility task of these regions, states. So far we have reached 24 languages. But as my colleague said, using mother tongue as a first language is very good. But if we are not administering it pedagogically, linguistically, and also psychologically very properly, then it's a problem. This is what EGRA showed us. So we have to work on that. So we have already developed an intervention. English we start from grade 1 as a subject, but for most regions, from grade 7 onwards, English is becoming a medium of instruction. But according to the policy, every region has to start English as a medium of instruction from grade 9 onwards. This is secondary in our case. The other one is appropriate reading materials. Yes, we do develop that, but formerly we do develop within our own expertise, within our own regions, but now with the GCOP, General Education Quality Improvement Program, which is a very comprehensive package. It's a package to bring about quality of education, and it has got 6 programs. Then these programs, this package is designed in such a way that each program has an impact, as well as also, in a combination, it has an impact. This includes leadership in school, from the ministry level to school, leadership, very important. The teachers, the curriculum, the school improvement program, where it makes a center the result, the achievement of students, and also the ethical aspect of it. Civic education, because it applies, very, 80 languages, 80 nationalities, and so on. So we need to bring all these people on board together, so that we have civic and ethical education, which has got 12, values in which everybody exerts a part in making a difference. The other one is ICT, Information Communication Technology, as a subject in schools, as well as also using this ICT as a tool to render quality education. So these are the 6 programs which are considered as a package, which is supported by World Bank, FITAI, definitely. USAID also, USAID every others, because they have stakes. USAID is working with 3,000 schools, some 3,000 schools, so the same program, but in some 3,000 schools, and so on. So these are the issues. But as far as teachers are concerned, as it has been raised, it's a problem. As I said, it is ill-prepared. The problem is, especially when we are concerned with literacy, I usually travel to different parts of the country. When I travel, I go to schools and I observe classes. I discuss with students, with teachers, everyone. Even in math classroom, when I go there, and it's grade 7 and it's grade 6, first I ask children to read, and then to explain me what is said, before I ask them, to compute. So there are problems. So now, with EGRA, with USAID, we are thinking that if every child is learning, so I was amazed with the same, logo here, motto. So every child is learning. At the same time, also every teacher has to teach reading and writing. Within his context, So we have now planned. So this is very important. One of the problems is the teachers themselves, sometimes they are not literate. I'm sorry to say it. That we have to prepare them. This is not their problem, but this is our problem. The training of our teacher, the system in which we are training. We have one of the teacher development program explains very well different sub-programs, about 6 sub-programs, updatings, upgradings, whatsoever. For the teacher educators, everything we consider in our program, in that very huge program. So which I said GCOP, General Education Quality Improvement. So through this, we hope we'll solve these problems. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. For us in Nigeria, our official language for instruction is English. Several years ago, we began piloting Liberian languages in different parts of the country. On August 8th, we now have a revised education law that requires Liberian languages to be taught in every school. We are currently in the process of coming up with the different policies, but we are looking at grades 1 through 9 somewhat as an elective support to ensure that Liberian languages are taught. This will be done on a decentralized basis because we have 16 plus different languages, so we are hoping that with different county school boards will decide on the predominant language in a particular county to be taught. the issue regarding localized materials, we do have the Liberia Association that does a lot of collaboration with our partners in developing contextual and relevant materials. Many at times we have materials that are not relevant or contextual for students to relate to. So we have made a variety of supplemental materials or even primary materials for the local context, which the students will be able to easily draw a conclusion and have some understanding of. Teacher challenges or constraints is paramount. As you're aware, we had a brutal civil war and a lot of our quality folks fled. We are addressing teacher quality in several ways with the rehabilitation of our Rural Teacher Training Institute. The current success we have had with our EBRA program is that not only that the teachers are taught and supported, we have coaches that are regularly do visits, and part of our sustainability program is to not only have coaches coming to the school, but teachers are identified in each school where they also can work along with the program. And after 3 years, they can assume the role of helping individual teachers and students.
Professor Lopez will answer in Spanish and I'll make a quick translation.
Bien, en cuanto a la primera pregunta, nosotros tenemos lo que denominamos el Sistema Educativo Autonómico Regional de la Costa Atlántica, que es una dirección general que tenemos en el Ministerio de Educación Pública. Eso asegura que se respeten las lenguas que se hablan en la costa caribe, que fundamentalmente son miquito, tuasca, panamasca, creole o inglés criollo y español. Se está trabajando una transformación curricular que está también trabajando los materiales, los textos de estudio en las lenguas maternas. Y también en las escuelas normales se está formando a los maestros con la integración de estos idiomas en su formación general. Sobre la lectura, estamos trabajando libros de texto. Ya hay libros de texto, se reprodujeron 3 millones de libros de texto para todos los niños nicaragüenses que se distribuyen de manera gratuita, y se han reproducido una serie de materiales que van dirigidos a los niños, pues, fundamentalmente sobre textos de Rubén Darío y otros materiales. En cuanto a cómo logramos que los maestros acepten las políticas, integrándolos. Este proceso de transformación tuvo una característica fundamental. Fue eminentemente participativo. Participaron los maestros y todos los sectores de la sociedad nicaragüense en ese proceso de transformación, y reflexionando con los maestros, discutiendo con los maestros la temática de la transformación, la necesidad del cambio para mejorar la equidad y la calidad de la educación nicaragüense.
Okay, just quickly then, on the languages issue, in the Atlantic coast is where they have the greatest variety of languages, and that, if I understood it correctly, a kind of semi-autonomous, has a semi-autonomous policies. They have 5 or 6 original languages. They've been adapting the assessment tools, the early reading assessment tools, and also the textbooks, and also improving the teacher training in the teacher training colleges to handle the mother tongue issue. On the textbooks, they have a massive textbook program, free distribution, but aside from textbooks, they've also been working on, I don't know what, sort of fun reading materials that are not instructionally based, such as reproducing a lot of the poetry of Nicaragua's national poet, actually an important poet in the whole Hispanic world. So that kind of thing. And in terms of the teacher integration into the new policies, his sort of rhetorical question is, how do we get the teachers to accept the policies? And his response was, well, they co-develop them. So the teachers have been integrated into the development of a lot of these policies, a lot of dialogue, a lot of consultation. I imagine it's time-consuming, but I'm sure it pays off. So, thank you to the panelists. I think there are some very clear lessons that emerge out of this. We will make sure to come back to them during the following sessions so that a set of themes clearly emerges throughout the day. Thank you very much.